If we talk about art and performance, there's a couple other things I'd like to touch on. And one is that most people appreciate in performance things that tend to be difficult. And if you think about if someone is juggling, oftentimes if someone juggles 3 balls, we'll think, oh, that's great. But if suddenly they can juggle 10, we'll think, oh my God, that's amazing that they can have so many things that we certainly tend to know that certain skills get harder. And that happens in dance, like someone can turn and do a triple turn. But then suddenly, if someone can do 11, you're just like, that's unbelievable that they're able to do that many. So we understand significance of that type in performance. Another part of performance that we like is passion. That part of performance is an idea of the passion of the performer for the art form and for what they're trying to communicate. My favorite word for that is a word by Garcia Lorca, Frederick Garcia Lorca, and that's the word duende. And duende is a Spanish word, and it means beyond passion. It's kind of a passion that is so seething that it almost hurts in its passion. And he talked about flamenco dancing would have a kind of duende to it. So really, really quite wonderful. Here's another. Edwin Denby wrote quite a bit about dance. And here's one of the things he said about Tourmanova of the Ballet Russe. He said, when she dances, it's a matter of life and death. He says, dancing can be other things than this, but I don't see how it can be anything greater than this. It's a kind of wonderful thing to say about somebody's dancing. Yeah. So, and finally, performance is, we do acknowledge the fact of what's spectacular, what's difficult, but I always like to acknowledge that not everything in performance is about that. There's also the human part of performance, that what we also think is spectacular is the part that becomes so human that it moves us in a way. And sometimes people talk about the difference between when performance becomes circus-like, where it's just simply about performing tricks. And that's different than when it's really in the technique and the strong ability, as Yoshio Ida had said, disappears. And what we really see is the work itself. Yeah. Now, Oida, there's in The Invisible Actor, he talks about 2 actors. And he said there's one actor who, there's a gesture in the it's either the Kabuki or the No theater. I think it's Kabuki theater, that this actor makes this gesture that towards the moon. And it's just a standard gesture that happens in plays. And he says, well, with this one actor, when you saw them do that, you would see the gesture. He said, but the really well-trained actor, when they made the gesture, you didn't see the gesture, you saw the moon. And he said for him, that was what was really needed, and that was the experience of the invisibility of that person's technique. So I always like to end this lecture on performance saying, beyond doubt, performance, virtuosity, being spectacular, all of those things are things we strive for. But it's also fascinating how we're able to, as Oida say, have those things become invisible. And it seems like they communicate these amazing things through the technique that happens. And that sometimes happens, when students talk to me about some dance, particularly competition types of dances where it becomes too oriented on the tricks, that it somehow moves away from the art part of it. And again, that's that balance thing we're talking about. So that's chapter 10. And all we have left is an epilogue, and we'll be at the end of this course. So fantastic. Nothing better than aesthetics.